Applejack had set up her stand in the center of town. Now that winter had been wrapped up for the year, she was happy to be back to growing and selling apples. Her first customer for the day was already here.
Howdy, Bon Bon. What can I do you for?
Oh, just the usual. I'll just take, a dozen should be fine.
Alrighty then. How have you been lately? Haven't seen you for a while.
I've been quite alright. It's just that, well, it took Lyra and I quite a while to finish all those apples, and then she was saying if she ever saw another slice of apple pie, she'd probably be sick. And I have to admit that I was running out of recipes that could be made with apples.
Apple Bloom won't be handling sales anymore.
It's for the best.
Anyways, how's business at Sugar Cube Corner? Pinkie Pie ain't getting to you, I hope.
Pinkie's quite manageable. I mean, I'm sure you know my roommate, right? I'm used to the occasional strangeness.
That reminds me. I just talked to Lyra this morning. Any idea what she's up to?
She left early today. I thought she'd be playing another concert in the park. What did she talk to you about?
She was asking if she could borrow one of our carts for the day. I can't imagine what for, but we've got a few of them. I figured we could spare one.
One of your carts? Why would she need one of those?
No idea.
The gala's in a week. What is she up to? You know what they say about these artistic ponies. They can be a tad eccentric.
I'm sure it was nothing to be worried about. Anyhow, enjoy your apples, Bon Bon.
Thanks.
What in tarnation?
Something then whooshed past, just a blur going through the streets of Ponyville, with speed to rival the Wonderbolts.
Hey, Bon Bon!
Bon Bon didn't want to look at what had just hurtled through town, but she slowly turned around and stared down the street. There was an apple cart quickly fading into the distance. Applejack's hat had blown off her head. She picked it up, shaking the dust off before putting it back on.
Was that...
What did she do now?
More importantly, what the hey was pulling that cart?
Twilight nearly ran into them at full gallop, and quickly skidded to a halt. She glanced at the two of them.
Hey girls, do you have any idea what that was?
Suddenly Rainbow Dash had shown up as well, flying a few feet over their heads.
Did you guys see that? Where did it go? What was it?
I think it's my roommate.
What? How?
That was Lyra. I don't understand. What's she doing?
I think it's best if we stop talking and do something before some pony gets hurt.
I'm on it.
She was gone in a blur, chasing after the cart. She was accelerating as fast as she could as she flew down the street, but she was still just barely catching up. There was a lot of distance to clear. Pumping her wings harder, she managed to match the speed of the vehicle and fly right alongside the driver.
Oh, hey, Rainbow Dash.
Lyra? What are you doing?
It's an experiment. Well, it'll take too long to explain, and I don't think we have that much time.
Can't you stop it?
It took me a while to get this thing up to speed. Braking is much harder, and it turns out steering is nearly impossible.
You're headed for a cliff.
I noticed.
With seconds to spare, Rainbow Dash grabbed Lyra with just her front hooves, lifting her off the cart with a jerk. She was only barely able to support her weight for a few seconds. The cart sped past under them and they both collapsed to the ground, trying to catch their breath.
There they are.
Twilight and Applejack galloped over to them. Bon Bon followed close behind at a quick trot. Lyra, putting a hoof to the side of her head, was struggling to stand up straight. Her legs wobbled as she leaned to one side and fell over completely.
Lyra, what in Equestria are you doing? I know it seems weird, but hear me out on this. Oh, and Applejack. Sorry about the cart.
How?
Come to life spells are extremely advanced, and you shouldn't attempt them on something so large without proper practice. Even I can't manage to control them. I had a good reason for this.
What exactly?
You see, humans have these characters that move on their own. They actually don't look like these ones. They're made of something different, but I had to use the closest thing I could find.
That's what this is about? Humans again?
Lyra, I've read all the books. Humans aren't supposed to be able to do magic, and they could certainly never manage anything that advanced. Where would you even get that kind of idea? Well, I dreamed it. All of this? It was all just a dream? Well, yeah. I see humans in my dreams all the time. It doesn't always match what's in the books, but
These things all make sense to me.
We can hardly consider dreams to be a valid source for research, especially when the very existence of humans is questionable at best.
Just look at this logically. Humans don't pull carts. We can tell that by looking at them. But what if they need to travel long distances? How would they get around? What if they had to transport some kind of large cargo, like furniture or something?
I guess that almost makes sense, but
Twilight, don't tell me you believe her.
I can't really make any conclusions about humans with what little information we have. But I don't think that this can be included in our final report. Lyra even admits that there's no record of anything like this. While this would have been beneficial to humans, it's far beyond what their abilities were said to be.
I've never been able to understand how things like that work either. That's why I needed to test it.
If humans really had something like that, wouldn't we still be using them?
Probably. I don't know.
You said you didn't even think humans were real.
Well, no, but even considering the accepted mythology, this doesn't make any sense. That reminds me, I need to fill out a report to the princess on my progress. Not that I've made much.
Maybe we should go too.
It's fine. I'll pay you back, Applejack.
She hurried along after Bon Bon without another word, glad to be away from that mess. Once they returned home, Bon Bon turned to her roommate.
Lyra, I know I've been saying this before, but I really mean it this time. All of this business about humans needs to stop. I've put up with those hands. I didn't say anything when you started wearing clothes, but this? You could have killed yourself out there.
It was my first experiment with this technology. Mistakes happen.
Your first... No. Please tell me you're not doing anything like that again. You completely destroyed Applejack's cart all because of some theory that doesn't even make any sense.
I know what I've seen. If you knew what my dreams were like, you'd understand. If I figure out how humans work these carriages, imagine how much Equestria would change.
Humans aren't real! You're too old to believe in these stories. Just listen to Twilight. Listen to your own parents, for Celestia's sake.
None of them understand what's going on here. I know humans are real.
But all of these things you've been doing, you're a unicorn. Nothing is going to change that, Lyra. You're not a human.
I never said I was.
Lyra, I didn't want to have to say this, but if you keep doing these experiments, or whatever you call them, I really don't want to have to force you to move out, but...
You'd seriously do that?
Yes.
But...
I'm worried about you, Lyra. I was willing to let it go and say it was harmless before, but this is just too much. You could have hurt some pony with that thing.
Fine. This is so frustrating. All I need is solid proof. And I only have our only theories. Separate pieces of evidence pointing to the fact that something had existed and created the society before ponies had come along. But they seemed so close in my dreams.
She looked over and saw her journal by the nightstand. The night before, she'd woken up again and had those images in her head. She flipped back to the last page and stared at what she'd drawn.
I managed to get most of the details before I forgot them. It really has very little in common with the wooden apple cart, but it's the closest thing I had. These human vehicles were made out of something else, possibly metal based on appearance. There were glass windows on all sides. Passengers and drivers would sit in them, and the wheels were fatter and not made of wood. They'd been moving in my dreams, so I didn't get a very good look at them. The problem was propulsion. I'd been using magic, same as what powered anything in Equestria. The books all said that humans couldn't use magic. But how else could they get these carriages to work? I'd seen them moving around at impossible speeds without anything pulling them. Twilight didn't believe in my dreams, but she'd never experienced them. They weren't normal dreams. Everything was extraordinarily detailed. I often see things that are never described in the books, but there was no way I was able to imagine these on my own. And yet, Twilight did have a good point. If humans had built those things, then why don't we use them now?
She set her journal down on the dresser on top of a cluttered mess of sheet music for the Grand Galloping Gala. That reminded her she only had a week left. She picked up a copy of one of the waltzes and scanned the lines of music, hearing it in her head as her eyes moved along the page.
Fine, maybe I'll give it a rest for a while. Do some last-minute practicing for the gala, even though it's hardly necessary. Bon Bon was upset and any further research right now would just make that worse. I'm tired. I just want straight answers. But will I ever get them? Just anything that would make Bon Bon see things my way.
She turned out the lights and tried to tune out her thoughts and get some sleep. A cab had just pulled up in front of the house. Bon Bon was the first one to see it through the window.
Hey, Lyra! Are you ready? Your carriage is here!
On my way!
Lyra did a quick sweep of her bedroom, gathering up everything she needed. There was sheet music, both loose and bound into books, scattered all throughout the room on her desk, nightstand, and bed. She used her magic to scoop it all up hastily. Everything on her dresser was piled into a jumbled heap, which she compacted as much as she could, and dashed out the door without another thought. Lyra was running as fast as she could in her dress, trying not to trip over the fabric. She was much more used to pants. This was too wide and hard to move in. She paused in the front room.
Good luck out there. Do you think you'll be back tonight?
Don't know. My parents sent me a letter. They said they wanted to visit me after I'm done, which will be late, but I'll try to make it back as soon as I can.
She checked over all of her things, her lyre case, the books of sheet music. That should be it. They all floated along above her head as she trotted out the door. Lyra stepped up to the door of the carriage. She opened it and started settling down her things inside. Bon Bon followed her outside and walked around to the front of the vehicle.
Everything all right?
Oh, it's fine. Just wanted to make sure you were driving. It's a long story.
Don't worry about that, ma'am. I make the trip between Ponyville and Canterlot all the time. Everything will be fine.
Yes, of course. I'm sure it will be. Maybe I worry about Lyra too much. Her quirks have gotten more severe in the past few months, without a doubt. But what's the worst thing that could happen at the Grand Galloping Gala? This would be nothing but a step in the right direction for Lyra. Perhaps she'll eventually find a permanent career with an orchestra and get some steady income.
All right, I'm ready. Let's get going.
Bye, Lyra. Do your best.
I'll see you tomorrow at the latest. Bye!
Lyra stepped up into the carriage. She sat on the cushioned bench inside, but her dress made it odd and uncomfortable to sit the usual way. She'd have to sit like a normal pony while she was performing anyway, just like Bon Bon and Rarity had both told her. She watched as Bon Bon and their house grew smaller as the carriage pulled away. Canterlot was probably an hour or so away. She settled back for the ride.